for our video lecture, so we will be discussing about our course, which is entitled Accounting Information System. So this time, we will talk about our module number 1. Okay, for our module number 1, so this is the information system on the accountant's perspective. Okay, for the overview, so we will be discussing about the basic information system that is utilized in a business environment. So here you will learn about the common terms, the structures, and the features of an information system that helps the management to carry out their day-to-day economic activities. For the learning outcomes, so at the end of this module, you will be able to recognize the primary information flows within the business environment and understand between accounting information system and management information system. Another is you will also be able to understand the difference between financial and non-financial transactions and know the principal features of the general model for our information systems. And also to understand the organizational structure as well as the functional area of a business, and also to distinguish between external auditing, internal auditing, advisory services as they relate to our accounting information system. Okay, for the contents, we have 3 main topics for this module. So this is the information environment, organizational structure of our AIS, and what is the role of accountants in an accounting information system. Okay, so to start, let us discuss about the information environment. Okay, so we have here 2 types, okay, of information flow. Okay, so we have the internal and external information flows. For the internal information flow, so we have the following. First is horizontal flow. Okay, so when we say horizontal flow, this is the flow of information that is being used primarily at the operation level. So the main purpose of this is to capture transactions and operations data. So meaning here, the information is coming from the operations, okay, and then basically this is the flow between departments, okay, for example, that work for manufacturing a certain product, okay, and then until it is finished, okay, and even up to the sale of that product. Okay, so here all the transactions that that occurred, okay, in those different divisions or segments are being recorded or captured, and this should have a process flow, okay, of information in an organization or business entity. Okay, so the vertical flows, on the other hand, under the internal information flow, is here we have the downward flows and the upward flow of information. Okay, for the downward flows, these are the instructions, okay, meaning coming from the top management down to the subordinates or employees. Okay, so here they provide instructions, quotas, and budgets. So these are the examples of the activities that the entity, okay, undergo, which belongs to the vertical flow of information. While the upward flow, on the other hand, these are the aggregated transactions and operations data. So here, we can have an example of reporting of a certain division about their performance for a certain period to the top management. Okay, and this will be used for decision making of the management, or even to evaluate, okay, the performance of such division. Okay, so that's upward, meaning this is just the opposite of our downward flow. Okay, so here from the lower level, okay, of management or the employee, okay, and then up to the top management. Okay, so that's how it is for vertical flow. So what are the information objectives? Okay, basically, we have the information system because it will support, okay, the stewardship function of the management. Okay, of course, as we all know, okay, even in other fields, information is very important. So this can be in the form of reports, financial statements, and others. Okay, so these are basically used for decision making. So aside from that, it also aids the management in the uh, operations, okay, and the planning or budgeting, okay, or even in controlling the day-to-day operations, or uh, the enterprise as a whole. Okay, so that's why information is very important. Another goal of information system is also to support management, as mentioned, for decision making and for their day-to-day operations. So even in a simple instruction, information is very important. That's why the management should have the system utilized on how they delegate or inform their subordinates about their objectives, so that there will be a congruent movement or work, okay, that will be implemented, okay, and performed, so that these objectives will be achieved. Okay, so that's how important our information system is. So we have been talking about the information system. So what do we mean then by this term information system? So an information system, this is a set of formal procedures in which the data are collected, and then after which it will be processed, and it will be uh, transformed into an information which is useful and understandable, okay, to the users for decision making. This is what we mean by information system. So meaning, first, there is an activity where there is a certain set of formal procedures that is undertaken, and from that procedures or activity, there are financial and even non-financial data that can be collected. Okay, and then just like, for example, in accounting. Okay, so we have the procedures for manufacturing. So in the manufacturing procedure, there are data. Okay, we collect the cost data, for example, and then this cost data are being processed to be a cost financial report, okay, that is being used by the management for decision making. So this is an example of an information system. So that's how important it is in an enterprise for them to be able to identify what are value and non-value adding activities, to eliminate such, to avoid waste, to avoid losses, also to determine how to minimize the cost, for example, or how to maximize the profit, and even how to make the processes more efficient and effective, okay, for to achieve their organizational goals and objectives. Okay, so that's the essence of having an information system in an organization. Okay, so we have here some sort of a review for you, because I know that in this class you have already encountered these terms, okay, right, in your basic accounting and other related courses or subjects. But here we will discuss what is a transaction, okay, because this is one of the very important element in an information system. So transactions, basically these are the event that affects or is of interest to the organization, and this is processed by the information system as a unit of work. So basically, transaction, these are the economic event, okay, that takes place in an organization. Okay, so here we have an example. Okay, so we have the financial. In a transaction, we can have either financial transactions or non-financial transactions. And then from there, from that transactions, data will be collected and processed. So this is where your information system will come in, okay, to aid in the processing, even in the collecting and the processing of those data. Okay, and then after which it will now become a report that is useful, okay, or in other words, it is now an information, okay, and then it will be distributed to the users for decision making. Okay, so here what are financial transactions and non-financial transactions? So basically, in your basic accounting, you have identified, okay, what are the features or element of financial transactions and non-financial transactions. But here, we will just again try to review. Okay, when we say financial transactions, these are the economic events. So basically, they affect the assets and equity or other elements, okay, of your financial statements of the organization. So for example, is the purchase, okay, purchase, sales, production, and so on. That is our financial transactions. Okay, it has what do you call this, economic substance. It is able to be measured, okay, and it affects our elements of financial statements. What about our non-financial transactions? So these are all other events that is processed by the organization's information system. Okay, so all other aside from the financial transactions, these are the other events, okay, that takes place in an organization, and the data also here are being processed. So an example of this is reservation but no commitment by the customer, or future transactions which will take effect, okay, in the next period, okay, and so on, or those which do not affect our elements of financial statements. So these are non-financial transactions. Okay, so what about accounting information system? Okay, so what we talked about earlier is the accounting system, right? But specifically, I mean, there are a lot of information systems. But here, we will focus on accounting information system. Okay, so an accounting information system, basically, these are the what do you call this? Information flow used or designed specifically for accounting, okay, or recording of the business transactions or financial transactions, and transform it into financial reports. Okay, so we focus on the functions of accounting. An accounting information system, or AIS. This identifies, collects, process, and communicate economic information about a firm using a wide variety of technologies. So this is just like our accounting cycle. But in this case, we are focused on how the data are collected, how it should be processed, and um, what are the different transactions or data that needs to be captured, okay, and what are the process and the documents that will be used, okay, in those data gathering and processing. Okay, so that is what accounting information is, using technologies as well. So another AIS, this captures and records our financial transactions that affects the firm's assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expense accounts. Okay, and of course, your AIS, this distributes transaction information to operation personnel to coordinate many key tasks. So that's why, if you could notice, aside from collecting the data, summarizing it, processing it, and transforming it into financial reports, these reports are being used for decision making, either, for example, for evaluation of the performance, what else, to decide, okay, what to do, to purchase or to make, okay, to continue or to shut down a division, to accept a special order or not, okay, and so on. So these are the features, okay, of your AIS. In fact, you are familiar as an accounting student in your previous subjects. You are already exposed to accounting information system, but it was not formalized, okay, on how it should be uh, uh, or what are the proper process, okay, that should be followed. But you know the steps, okay, but the process, the proper process, the documents that needs to be used, as well as how the process or the information should be collected, okay, and transformed into reports. Okay, so that's where your accounting information will come in. So there should be a formal system that an entity should follow, okay, for them to be able to make sure that what they record are legitimate business and economic transactions, as well as to avoid errors and fraud, okay, for them to use this financial information with confidence, okay, for decision making. So that's for our accounting information system. So the next part of this topic will be discussed in the next video lecture.